This is Mr. Impact Wrestling himself, Moose, and you're listening to the Irish Whip.
Hookers? Hookers and Coke?
Hookers and Coke, man.
You're the only pro wrestler I know that wants to do this shit in the morning.
Yeti, you're a f***ing moron.
Put it this way, I think Sami Callihan might as well just change his name to Invader
I
One.
want to know why. Like, he can dodge any question. Like, I'll tell anyone that. You can tell me but I'm going to ask specific questions.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
WrestlingNewsSource.com. For all the rest of you yahoos who are out there dilly-dillying, you little wankers, we're actually receiving real wrestling news.
This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Hold 2! Arm bar!
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule.
Yeah, they do.
What's going on, TIW Mafia? JP here, hanging with Josh. Josh, what's going on tonight, man?
Nothing, man. We're lucky to be joined with Amy Crimson tonight from Lockdown, direct from Canada.
So what's it like in prison?
Yeah.
We got 3 square meals a day. We could see the sunlight. We can hear the birds.
You basically, you get 3 hots in the cot, an hour in the yard every day, right?
Well, we can't go too long though, because then.
No, that's so you've.
For those that don't know, Amy Crimson's a Battle Arts Pro up in Canada. She's in lockdown right now. Tell us a little bit about who you are, socials, who's training you, what's going on, and then that way we get that out of the way so people know, they're going to be listening to the podcast, who is this, and then that way they can go direct to you, start following you, and do what they need to do. Yeah. So let's get your socials out of the way. So that's different. We do things different. Everybody waits till last to do that, but we try to get it out of the way for you.
Yeah, we're going to do it last again too, though. So
yeah.
So if you guys want to follow me on TikTok, it's Amy Crimson XOXO. My Instagram is Amy Crimson XOXO. Twitter, Amy Crimson XOXO. I got a Facebook page, Amy Crimson. So I wrestle as Amy Crimson, if you guys don't notice by my socials. I'm trained by former WWE superstar Santino Marella, a.k.a. Anthony Corelli, and I train at Battle Arts Academy at Mississauga, Ontario. So, yeah.
Currently in lockdown.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, you started wrestling when you were 19.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple of years now. But you just basically took a year off. Well, you didn't take a year off. Yeah.
Not by choice.
You were given a year off because of COVID and the pandemic and trying to be safe and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Do you have plans or estimates on when you'll be back?
Hopefully when Ontario government lets us wrestle.
For those that are listening along and not watching, that was a slow thumbs up. Like it just appeared out of nowhere.
Now you've already had a chance to tour the States a little bit and stuff, right?
No, so I actually haven't got to tour the States at all. I would love to do shows in the States. I was actually planning on saving my money and possibly going to train at OVW or CW, Booker T's wrestling school. Yeah. So hopefully I can save up.
Let me know when you're heading down to Texas and I'll make a call or two.
Okay, sweet.
That's pretty easy for us. That's why we do the podcast, and I don't know. It's more fun for I think JP and I when a talent reaches out to us, because that just means there's hunger, there's eagerness there. It's not us having to fill a schedule.
Yeah, it's
literally, and we make if we don't have somebody, we're working to try to get somebody on the show.
Yeah.
If somebody messages us like you do and you're ready to go, we just make the time and we try to make it happen. And we appreciate you doing that. We appreciate talent doing that. That's why, when JP says, just let us know when you're ready, is because there's ties with Booker and us for a long time.
Yeah.
And it would just it's really cool to see hunger. So
I always say there's only like a handful of like good schools. If you can get a good trainer, like I'm sure Santino is an awesome trainer.
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
he's been there, and he was there for a reason. You got Lance Storm School up there. You go down to Texas. I'm in Massachusetts, so we got like New England Pro Wrestling Academy.
Yeah.
There's a few good schools there, and it's really what you make of it. And if you go and you learn from a few different people, you get a few different ways of making things work for you.
Yeah.
So what made you, and this is a question, so this is kind of how we roll. Like we never have anything really planned. It's a conversation and things just happen, especially when people mention names. Like what made you decide why Booker T or why the States, or like, do we have to, smuggle you out of Canada to get this started? Like, how does this happen?
It's just because, like, my coach always told us, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know kind of thing. So it's, like, the more opportunities that you have with, like, people with connections, it's, like, it helps you get more bookings and stuff because people, like, are like, okay, this person was trained by former WWE superstar Booker T, or this person was trained by former WWE superstar Lance Storm or Santino Marella. So it's, like, it's more, like, who you know than what you know kind of thing.
I love that you're already like grabbing the system. You haven't said the word wrestler yet. I just want to point out that I caught that. Like you obviously have a goal. Your goal is one particular place.
Like my goal is like to at least wrestle for WWE one day. Like at least get signed to one of the major like organizations, like either AEW, WWE, even Impact, like, or even New Japan in like Japan.
Oh, that would be so. That would be. And I just want to say real quick, what's up, Quest? I see you out there.
What got you JPS your age before? Because it's hard for us, and when I know how to rank my socials by when we ask somebody where their socials are. So we're out of the loop, JP. Really, I think Twitter was third. I think she gave her Twitter or TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and then something about a Facebook maybe. So
where's your what about MySpace?
That was before her time.
She's like, what's MySpace?
Right.
I wasn't even old enough to have one.
So that's how, and a lot of people will question, like, how can you guys interview talent that nobody has necessarily or been out? It's because you're hungry. It's the same reason we took Ace. I saw the same reason Ace Austin, like, we're like, hey, let's get Ace Austin on the show 3 years ago. It's the same story. It's the same thing, is because he was hungry. He's like, I just got in, if there was an open chair, I got into it. And he's an X division. That's an X division champion right there. So
I actually got to meet him. So he's a nice dude. He
is one of the. He is one of the nicest gentlemen, Southern gentlemen, I think you'll probably ever meet in your life. Honestly, honestly.
I mean, there's always a point in time. There was a point in time where Anthony Green, August Gray, nobody heard of him at one point. He was a local kid.
There's a time Brian Pillman wanted to be Brian Pillman II and not Brian Pillman Jr.
There was a time when no one heard of Santino Marella.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And
I'm just super
when we do
excited.
a before they were famous compilation, you'll be on it.
Hopefully. That's the goal.
So everybody's looking at May 21st as far as the Free Canada Day is what I'm kind of referring it to down here as Free Canada Day. It's my birthday too, so that would be super huge to see everybody that's a pro wrestler trying to get out and make some money. Like Lufisto's digging, you're digging, everybody up there that's stuck in Canada is digging. Vampiro just can go wherever hell he wants and do what he wants because he's Vampiro. So I don't know how that works. I guess the question is when this happens, how you get December, like mental health, where you're at, not being able to chase your dream. You basically have to put your dream on pause. What are you doing mentally to continue to be in that state of mind?
Well, I try to do fitness as much as possible. I try to stay healthy and be strict on my diet and stuff as much as possible. So at least when I go back, I look the part. So I'm not working 10 times harder to get back. Another thing I've been trying to do is try to get my name more out there. So like I could still do wrestling related stuff, but just not the wrestling part. Like going on podcasts like with you guys and like other stuff. So like I'm just trying to build my brand as much as possible so that when I do get back, like I can get possible bookings and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, the thing, I hate to make anything positive out of this, but like the good thing is nobody that's wrestling now has ever been through a situation like this before. So there's no right or wrong thing to do because nobody knows yet. Yeah. And I think like the people that are keeping their name out there, and especially I've heard other people say this, like the ones who are taking the time and making the pandemic about them and the fitness, those little, when it's over, they're going to shine.
Yeah.
Now, is the school open still?
No. So like it's been closed since, I believe it's been closed since September, I believe. So they had like a mini show, but I couldn't go back due to COVID reasons. But it's literally been shut down since like, I believe like October, September when they closed down gyms completely. And then we weren't even able to open when they opened up a little bit because we have like martial arts. So they wouldn't even let us open at all. So they've been closed since like.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, JP, is there's just locked down. Like they're locked down.
Like no restaurants, nothing.
There's about to be a whole bunch of Canadian backyard companies.
I guess
superstars of the yard.
Yeah,
I was contemplating renting out a ring just to run the ropes. Like I just run...
Yeah, it's just to not do it. Basically, to be active with it. I get that. That makes sense.
I almost feel like you guys are paused. It's just like everything. We've moved ahead. I really, in Montana, it affected us, but it really didn't because we're so sparse and spread out. JP was affected more than I was. But how, not to get into the politics, but like, how are you just ready to, like, I will go anywhere. Whatever I got to do to get out of here, just tell me what I need to do.
Basically, like, I just want to save my money and just leave Canada before they like try to lock us down again.
Right.
I just want to leave. Like, I just want to go.
The gates open at midnight. You're going to be right there at the border waiting.
Let me in.
Right.
I'm Canadian.
If they do open on May 21st, do you have a plan? Have you got a plan already? Have you made a plan? Have you talked? I mean, you're obviously doing what you need to do. You're eating right, staying in shape. You're putting yourself out there. You're making yourself available. So if and when those borders do open, you just basically say, hey, I'm making a commitment. I'm going to start jumping in cars and see what happens. I mean, is that kind of where you're at?
Well, like through this whole pandemic, I just been like texting my coach, like Anthony, and like just asking for like some advice, like how to like keep my name still there. And like because like before the pandemic, like I was like I wasn't saying like I was like getting a lot of bookings, but like it was starting to like kick off because like I main evented with Allison Kay and Rebel and Casey Spinelli. So like after that, like my career kind of like picked up, and then COVID happened, and it's like I was getting bookings, and I was supposed to go for the title with Lexi and Nicole at Crossbody in Kitchener in Canada, and like it was just like the momentum was there, and then like COVID happened. It's like no, it's like no, you're not gonna get momentum. Like it was just like kind of like hard. So, like,
it's the good thing for me, and I'm just gonna say this is not to be an age thing, but you've definitely handled the adversity of the pandemic in a pretty mature fashion. Like you're reaching out to your resources and asking for that help. I think a lot of people that don't succeed in the business are the ones that aren't willing to reach out to the people that are their confidants when they say I'm available and ask for that advice. Because JP, tell me if I'm wrong. It was like everybody we ever talked to was willing to ask for help and ask for the advice. And when they get the advice, they don't question it. They just do it.
Yeah.
Now, as a young wrestler, how important is that? Like you, outside of COVID, you're at shows. there's a veteran on the show. Are you going up to the veteran and asking them to watch and critique and taking the critique?
Oh, for sure. So like basically like I say hi to every single person.
Yes.
Like when you're in a part of a show, like Anthony told us, like you better say hi to every single person and bye to every single person. I don't care if it's like the cameraman. I don't care if it's the soundproof man. Like you say hi to every single person and you say bye, because it's like your attitude and your character is the first thing they look at you, even if they're gonna book you.
Yeah.
So like every single time there's a vet, like I go to the vets and I'm like, hey, can you please critique? Like I don't care if you gotta tell me it's shit. Like just let me know so I can get better.
Right. Yeah. If everybody tells you how great you are and that you're the best and the match was flawless, you're never going to know what to improve on.
Yeah.
So being able to take, and then them being critical isn't them like shitting on you.
Yeah.
It's them helping you.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think a lot of people don't get that. And that's why I asked that. I asked that question whenever we have somebody on that's young and newer into the wrestling. So
if you don't know what this is, or if you don't want to answer the question or can't answer it, just pass.
Okay.
But what you're talking about meeting these individuals, right? The veterans that are there.
Yeah.
The handshake, is it stiff or limp?
Stiff, for sure. You gotta. Sorry, I got a call.
No, you're good.
Incoming call.
You're good. People know you're busy. You're blowing up now.
That's it. That's a booking coming in.
Hello?
You're still there. We
I
see
can't
you. So you're
hear
good.
guys.
We'll keep talking while she goes. Are you?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you good.
Be right then. Can you hear us?
Okay. Sorry,
Right,
I got an incoming call. I had to decline.
No, you're good. You're important. It's what happens when people come on the show is you start to get busy, and
it was probably we're live. The bookings are already rolling in.
So I feel bad that I had to decline.
So what's your friend's name so we can call him out?
Harry.
Who?
Harry Sanchez. That's my boyfriend.
Harry Sanchez.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be a good one. Hey, what were you doing? I was talking to two guys. I couldn't talk to you.
But
Sorry.
like I was saying, like my handshake is very stiff.
Yes.
Because like you need to show confidence. That's what one of my coaches said all the time. Like if you're meeting somebody, you show confidence. You don't show them that like you're afraid or you're intimidated because they're basically like you. Kind of
and eye contact.
So yeah.
They're equals.
When you're saying hello, don't be like, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, it's boom.
Basically everything that like my coach has told us. Like he just sits us down and tells us like, if you guys are gonna meet a vet, do not like fanboy, do not fangirl. Like that's number one. Like do not do that.
Nope,
and
you've been
like,
in the end zone
it helps.
before.
Like you go, you talk to them, and then they actually think that you're legit, or they think that you're more legit than what you actually are, kind of thing.
As somebody who has set up probably a couple of thousand rings in my time, I don't know, Glenn, is that an accurate number? I thank Anthony for telling you guys to do that because there's so many people that skip over like the production crew and stuff saying hello. So we all appreciate that.
I think it's important in real life because I used to do that when I worked in a position where I was a public figure, you know, and there was people that were working in the background. Every morning when I went into work, I told everybody good morning, and when I left, I told everybody goodbye because the reason why is if I need to get square with something, that was the time to get square with it, not when you saw me then and you saw me again then. So we should have had a conversation, or I'm glad we had that conversation. One of the two. So I think it's an attribute to you being willing to take that direction. Really, I feel. And then two, like you're asking for more. You're hungry for it because this is the time you can take. This is a college course. You can take the time that you're not getting the ring stuff, and you can get all the psychological things in. And when you do that. And you take the chance. Coming on a podcast is intimidating, right? Is it? It is, right?
It depends. Like, I noticed that like when you're a wrestler, like you have to get your speaking skills on point. Cause like if you can't go and like talk to people, how are you expecting to be like the best? So it's like, the more podcasts you do and the more you talk to people, the better like speaking skills you get. So like I just feel like it's just repetitions that helps like in the future.
Yeah, and somebody hands you a live mic in the ring and does, hey, you got to go waste 10 minutes in the ring for us. So, somebody got hurt.
I think.
And
the fun thing is I'm always impressed because like she's professional.
Yes.
At the age
absolutely.
that she is. And Anthony was professional, kind of, at 17 as a referee.
Yeah.
And he just, I continue to go back to the Rowdy Piper.
By the way, today's his 9-year anniversary.
9-year anniversary signing up to WWE. So I keep going back for the time that there's a video of him and Rowdy Piper where
we're talking about August Gray from NXT.
Piper just came in and told him to act one way.
Yeah.
And August was like, well, no, I'm not that. I'm supposed to be this. And he goes, oh, well, then just do this. And went the total opposite way and sold it the other total opposite way. So that is lost. And I'm more excited to see that there's a generation like you that are retaining most of it, if not all of it. Right, JP?
Yes, absolutely. And Anthony will tell you that.
Well, the thing is that with like my coach and everything, we're taught ring psychology and like the knowledge behind it and like the respect aspect with it. So it's like just because you're like the best wrestler and the best speaker, like your attitude can ruin it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, there's multiple wrestlers that like basically like that work the hardest and they're in the greatest shape. Like they can wrestle, they can go, but they can get like designed or like not even signed because their attitude is horrible with the people that they like treat in the back or like even like the producers and stuff. So it's like that's why when like I started, like the number one thing was respect everybody so you can be respected as well.
Now, who was it that inspired you to go and train? What was the like one moment?
So I kind of have like a couple. So when I was 12, Anthony Corelli, like Santino Marella, he actually came to my elementary school, and at the time he didn't have the Battle Arts Academy like that was open because I believe it opened in 2014. This is 2012. So it was just like a random carnival at my school. I think somebody knew him because he lived in Mississauga. So I go up to Anthony, 12-year-old me, and I'm like, I want to be a wrestler. And he's like, he looks at me and he's like, how tall are you? I'm like, 5 feet. And he's like, okay, how old are you? I'm like, 12. He's like, okay, when you turn at least like 18, 16, then you can talk and you can become a wrestler. I'm like, okay. So then fast forward, like, I think a couple years they open. I turned 19 and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Battle Arts Academy. And then I became a wrestler. And then I believe like Eddie Guerrero inspired me to like be a wrestler because I've been watching wrestling since I was like 8 years old. And like that's all I ever wanted to do. Like when I turned 8, I was like, I want to be a wrestler. And like that's the only thing I wanted to do. Like
Eddie's absolutely like, and he's inspired so many of the like I think this generation because he was the best at what he did. I don't think there was a better bad guy out there.
No, for sure.
You know, and that's now. What do you have a preference? Do you like being the fan favorite, or do you like being the one that they're gonna boo and yell at?
Oh, I love being a heel.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I would think a babyface for you would be so easy.
Well, being a babyface is easy because like I like everybody and like I'm likable and like I get along with everybody. But to be a heel and be something that I'm not is just so fun.
Okay.
So it's like I get to basically be something I'm not and like crank it up 10 times, like and just like jaw jack with the crowd is just so fun for me.
So when this is always, it's fun for me to ask these questions because we get into the heel face and we get into the art part of it, which is always a lot of fun for me because the athletic part is cool, always will be, like it's the part of it, but the art part where you just said you get to be somebody you're really not.
Yeah.
What are you grabbing from? Like when you say you love to be the heel, what part in you are you grabbing from when you're doing that?
Oh, just the jaw jacking, like just being snippy and like just be like, if someone's like, you suck, and I'm like, well, you suck too. Like come in the ring and I'll beat your ass kind of thing. Like,
the best response to that is not as good as your mother.
Well, there was actually this fan that came to all the shows. And at the time when I first started, I was like a little chubby. Like I looked like a meatball. Like I was thick. Okay. And I lost a lot of weight. And every single show he'd be like, you're fat. You can't wrestle. he sucked. So I lost a lot of weight at the time, and it was like for the Battle Arts Women's Tournament, and I was going against a girl named Smashley. She wrestles at Battle Arts, and for some weird reason, that day I just wasn't having it with him, and I was a heel. So he's like, "Oh, you lost a lot of weight, huh? You think you're feeling yourself? You're still fat." I'm like, "You know what? Shut up, fat ass. Why don't you come in the ring?" And then every single time I would do a move, I'm like, "This is for you, fat ass." And he took off his coat and he was like, "I'm going to kick your ass." I'm like, "Bring it." And it was the most like, and then my coach, like Anthony, when I came back, he's like, "That was the best performance from you I've ever seen." Like, and I made him pop. So I was like, okay.
If you can get the coach to pop, that's a big thing.
That's a big thing when you can get right. What do you continue to like? How do you build? I know it's a short career we're talking about, but obviously mentally you're where you want to be. Like, you know, the level that you want to be at. Are you prepared for that commitment? Like the drive, everything that you've got to do to get where you want to go for the amount of money that you're going to make obviously you feel like it's worth it, right?
Well, yeah, it's like what my coach was always saying is like the hard work is like what gets you there, but the outcome is like the paradise. Like, you're going to be living life. You're going to literally get paid to work out and look great. Like, that's the dream. Like, I know it's going to be hard and I know it's not going to be easy. I'm probably going to be on the road like 365 days a year. But at the end of the day, like, when I look back, I'll be like, holy shit, I busted my ass, but it was so worth it, kind of thing.
How's your family with this? How does your family feel? Do they attend? Are they actively participating in this, or is this something that isn't supported?
So true story. So when I was 8 years old, at the time when I was 8, the women weren't really visualized as wrestlers. They were like
they were puppies. That's all you heard all the time was puppies constantly.
Imagine an 8-year-old girl telling their mom, "I want to be like her," and they're like, "Oh hell no, you're not gonna do that." And then like they thought it was a phase kind of thing. So after the phase kind of thing, I like high school came and I was like, "I want to be a wrestler." And my parents are like, "Okay, I know it's your dream, but you need to at least have a backup plan, like a proper job." And then like I graduate high school. And they're like, "Okay, what are you going to do?" And I'm like, "I'm going to do wrestling." And they looked at me. They're like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, seriously? Like, wrestling? Like, you know you're going to have to bust your ass." I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You know there's potential injuries." And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Okay, go ahead." And then after that, like, they attended every single one of my shows. Like, they'll be at the grocery store. And when I became champion, like, they're like, "My daughter's a champion. My daughter's a professional wrestler." So like they're very supportive, and like they basically attend all the shows. And like my mom's the loudest. Like when I turned face, my mom was like, all you hear is crimson from my mom. That's it. Yeah.
Now where did it? I'll peel I don't usually peel the fourth wall back. Where did crimson come from?
So that's a funny story. So it was, I think I was training for only 2 months at the time. And they were in need of girls because, like, at Battle Arts, there wasn't a lot of girls. So Anthony was like, "Okay, you've been training for 2 months, so we're going to give you a practice match." So, mind you, I've only been training for 2 months, so I only know basic stuff at this point. Yeah. So he throws me in. He's like, "Okay, do you got a name?" And I'm like,
Headlock hip toss.
No.
That would be a name.
Irish Whip.
There you go.
No,
there you go.
But he's like, "Do you have a name?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "How have you been training for 2 months and you don't even have a wrestling name?" I'm like, "I didn't think of it." He's like, "Okay, think of a name." And then he saw something like a girl named Amy, and he's like, "Okay, Amy," and then like some white girl name. I was like, "Okay." So then I was the face, and then it was like at a kid's birthday party. So like they were cheering Amy, and then I guess he liked what he seen, so he put me on the show. So then fast forward, it's the show, and all I have is Amy, and his daughter, Bianca Corelli, was like doing the announcing at the time, and she's like, "Cass, you need a name, like you need a last name." And I was like, "Oh shit, I only got Amy." So then after she was like, "Okay, let's think of a name." So I was wearing crimson lipstick, and then she's like, okay, Amy Crimson. I'm like, that works. And then it just clicked. We're just like, that was the name. So,
now it's stuck.
Yeah.
Those are always the best names where they just happen.
Yeah.
Elvis Martinez wants to know, do you also lie, cheat, and steal in a match?
Oh, hell yeah. If you look at my YouTube channel, you can see me put my feet on the ropes, everything. Like, yeah.
No,
so I should steal when I'm here.
You bringing up your socials, you brought up TikTok, and I think you might be the first person we've had on that's brought up TikTok. Is it a wrestling TikTok, or is it like the...
It's like, okay, so you might laugh at me, but to get clout, I post nostalgic wrestling content, so like old wrestling videos.
Yeah.
For like all the marks that want to like follow me.
No,
but,
that's
like,
it. That's where the ticket's at. You got to do it.
Yeah.
So like there's content where like I just sneak some content of me in there, like, oh look, I'm a wrestler, and then like, but it actually worked because when I did a TikTok before and I was just posting myself, I had like 5 followers, and then when I started posting about WWE and like their content, it jacked up to like 6K, and I'm like,
really? See, we
that's
tried.
Because you're not a competitor. You're in the suitor for the White Knights. That's what happens. All the White Knights showed up.
We tried doing the same thing. I just didn't have to drive to do it, to post, to go and find videos and convert them every single day.
See, when you're in lockdown, you got nothing to do.
I think that's my problem. Is I've spent too much time in lockdown. I got into lockdown mode to where I'm just socialing way too much. Like I'm doing it way too much. Well, I found now that I'm out and free, I'm like, I'm addicted. I'm stuck to it.
Nice. It must be nice.
I don't leave. For the record, I don't leave my house. Like I work from home. I'm home. This is it.
Not me. I walked outside. I went to the store. I went shopping today. I got a fig. Like I'm just doing my thing.
What you got?
Well,
sorry.
I ordered Starbucks off of Uber Eats. But when you're in lockdown and like no lie, like since this lockdown, I think I watched like majority of the whole WWE network.
What's the population of the town or city that you reside in? How do you say that again?
Mississauga.
Yeah, I'm going to pronounce that so bad. Mississauga. Do you know approximately how many people?
A lot of people.
Really?
Sure. Yeah.
Is it like a big city?
It's like one of the bigger cities. Like there's like, it's like a Peel region kind of thing. So it's like not just cities. So like, it's like literally like Peel region. So there's like Bolton, Brampton, Mississauga, and like that's a whole region. And then we have different regions kind of thing. So it's like it branches off Toronto, York.
Like, are there rules? Like, can you fly out of the country? Like, is there any way? There's no way of getting out right now?
So the only way you can get out is if it's essential travel and you have proof that it's essential travel. So it's like
I'm gonna kill JP. You have to come save him.
It's crazy.
I continue to follow individuals like Amy that are up there, and I'm in awe. Like Casey Spinelli's, I think, up there.
Yeah.
Lufisto, I keep saying her name, is up there. There's quite a few individuals that are up there, and like trapped, you're stuck. It's just I can't imagine.
Lufisto's like trying to retire, isn't she? And she can't even like have a retirement match because it's locked down.
Yeah, she's back to playing guitar. Listen to heavy metal.
Justin, allow a wrestling show, Justin.
Here's the bar is that, and it's just because we're football related. JP, we need to do a read.
Yeah, let's.
This is part of the live stuff. Is we pay Bill this time. And that's the fun stuff.
So
and
today's
JP,
podcast.
JP, are you ready? Do you want to keep interrupting you? Do you want to do the Podgo ad now?
So today's podcast is brought to you by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space, so you always know how much you're going to get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co And be sure to include the Irish Whip in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application.
That was spectacular.
Yeah, it was a great time for my allergies to kick in and me have
and you got to
hiccup
heckle. I'm heckling you for before the pod go read. I heckle you every time before the pod go read. It's just I appreciate what they do, and it's always fun because it's part of the podcast people laugh at the most is when we do our live reads are the best. They're always the best. They're the most memorable part of the show.
I've been doing the same one for 3 months, and I have to read it every time.
Anyway, back to Amy, and the most important things is I think that's generational thing. Like you keep bringing up TikTok. It's where it's the socials. It's how you're measured. It's how you're measured is if you want this, what's your social? What's your followers?
Yeah. But the thing with TikTok is like people are monetizing all the social medias now in a lot of ways, but TikTok's kind of made it easier if you have the right amount of followers.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a good way of like supplementing. I don't know how much it pays out. I don't know what it is, but I think that's a nice way of supplementing a little bit of money.
Like I remember, I think I like posted a TikTok and it was just me training with like a viral song and it got like 10K. And like people are like, don't give up on your career. And I'm like, I'm not giving up.
But isn't that part of this is that you're learning how to work that crowd in a way that you are going to be able to use later on? Is that kind of why you use those? Do you use those socials that way, but you're also using them in the way to connect to your fans?
Well, I always try to connect with my friends as much as possible. But like my coach, what he always said was like, there's always going to be a time where people are going to think that you're bigger than what you are if you produce your stuff like that. So like people are always going to believe like, okay, this person has like 10K followers. They must be huge because they have 10K. Like nobody would follow them if they're not huge. So that's what my coach always said. So he's like, use your social medias as an advantage to make people think, okay, this girl means something, like she's something. So like people are going to believe like.
Absolutely. It's a manifestation. If you believe it, somebody else is going to believe it.
Yeah.
Even if it is what you make it. And I think that's the most powerful statement anybody could ever make as far as professional wrestling is or sports entertainment is you make it what it is. If you're willing to invest everything you have into your dream, at some point in time, it will probably pay you that back plus some. Yeah. But if you take shortcuts, if you try to find ways around it, if you try to find the easy way out, just like everything else in life, it's not going to be fruitful. It's not going to be rewarding. And at the end, it's not going to come to fruition. So kudos to you and Anthony and everybody that's doing what they're doing because they're obviously, I mean, they're I'm trying not to be fatherly, JP. This is the hardest thing. They're obviously guiding you in the right way to be a professional and to be professional at all times, no matter what you're doing. So it's cool and refreshing.
Yeah.
For us, and you know how JP was talking about. It's natural for you to get behind the mic now. It's probably easier to do public speaking. Yeah. It's
right.
It's like how much investigation or did we find out about Amy Crimson before we did this? Honestly, probably none. I did a little bit here and there, but I knew what kind of we know what kind of interview it's going to be within the first 5 or 10 minutes. Like that's literally how we know is okay. We know she's being trained by some really cool people, but it's always the questions and how they're answered, the way they're answered. And it's the confidence. It's the confidence behind it. And I'm excited to see when the borders open up, when all this starts to go down, how your hungriness translates into that. So is that like when your mom and dad said you need to go get a proper job? Like, is this where you learned work ethic or how much you learned not to have that type of work ethic? And I only want to do pro wrestling because I don't want to do anything else but that.
Well, the thing is that like right when I turned 15, like my parents were like, okay, you need to get a job. Like you need to like pay for it like yourself. So like everything I did, like I always paid for myself. So like the work ethic is there. Like, cause they taught me at a young age that like nothing comes for free. So it's like when you're in wrestling, it like goes the same way when you're working for a job. The more work you put into it, the more success you get. So it's like if I'm like, say, like just putting in kind of effort, I'm just gonna get in kind of results. But if I'm putting in the work, busting my ass in the ring, trying to get better, asking for advice, and like taking the time to like get the ring psychology and stuff, like then my work is gonna like pay off, because then people are gonna be like, okay, this chick works hard, she knows what she's doing, she has the confidence, because what you put in your work is what you show, kind of thing.
Now, the Ghost Heads Talk podcast is in the chat, is in the comments saying hello to you, and come to NYWC, which I think is the New York Wrestling Connection, which is actually a promotion that's been around for a long time.
Is that where Dickinson originated?
He might have come out of there, because it is New York based. I'm sure he's wrestled there.
Is that another one of those things? Like, do you have independent promotions in the States that you have on your checklist right now before the big ones? Like, do you have? I mean, you can feel free to name them out, because I'm absolutely like. Are there ones you have on your list right now? Like, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go here, and I want to try and get here.
Course. So I want to try and like wrestle for OVW, like at least once. RCW, again, Reality of Wrestling. The Florida Championship Wrestling, the Pro Wrestling 2.0. Like, I want to try and reach there. Like, honestly, I just want to try and reach as many promotions as possible to get my name known. Like, even if I have to go to Mexico and like wrestle in like Lucha, like Underground, or like AA Pro, or like basically like AAA, like those are my goals. Like, as long as I'm getting like money and getting paid to wrestle, like that's the goal. Like, it doesn't matter what booking it is, but repetitions, and that's all I need.
I'm excited, JP, because she keeps saying names to where we just can just like, hey, would you mind, or when the borders open up, you know, if you got time, do you know what I mean?
I'm sure like Santino could does he still have connections down with like OVW?
I think so.
Because he spent a decent amount of time
down there.
Well, the funny thing is that like I just tagged OVW in a post like on Instagram, and then they followed me, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, Max is down there. Max has been one that we've been following for a while. She doesn't do anything. She's one of those mysterious. She's taken the mysterious route. So
I respect her for that.
Yeah.
OVW in the asses, aren't we?
Yeah, right. OVW is it's been around forever, so that's a cool thing when you can obtain the eyes on from a company like that. That's cool. That's really cool. It's interesting that she's going the southern, like down Texas, Florida instead of the Northeast route.
She said it earlier. It's not what you know all the time; it's who you know, and like those companies all have those connections.
Yes.
FCW was NXT before NXT was NXT.
OVW was that before.
Yeah,
anything.
OVW was developmental for a long time, and ROW is where a lot of them, actually low key, a lot of the guys go to train when they're making their return to the ring, when they're coming back off of injury and stuff, and it's Booker T. So
yeah, and I think he still has connections with WWE.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can tell you, like I think it's next week with that whole thing A&E is doing is all Booker T.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that otherwise.
Yeah, it's that's the other part too is you're talking Texas and Mission Pro. I'm sure you've got eyes on Mission Pro, just like every other female in the world right now has their eyes on Mission Pro.
Elvis wants to know, how would a match between you and Thunder Rosa pan out? How would you want that to work through?
Well, I would hope she would be the heel, and then I could be the baby face, so that she can help me throughout some like stuff. Because like obviously, even though like I've been wrestling for a bit, like I'm still considered green compared to her.
Yes.
So honestly, any type of match like she would want to do, like I'm down for it. Like just help me.
How are you? Are you able to walk and talk?
Obviously, I could walk and talk.
You know what I mean?
Like I can like basically whatever like I think I can.
Josh is lost now. I just
lost
Josh.
I know what he's. I know what you're talking about. Is basically, are you able to call that? Are you able to call the match when you're in the ring?
So like I actually got an experience before the COVID pandemic panned out. Like we had a show in like March of 2020, and I was put with like a rookie kind of person that didn't really know. Like they were only given like, I think like they only knew like 5 moves. I think the whole match.
So you wrestled John Cena.
Senior.
Yeah, Johnny Fab.
So she was really new. Like she was like basically like a professional boxer type. So she was just getting into the wrestling kind of thing. So the only move she really knew was DDT and an arm drag. And I think like we had to teach her how to do a crossbody before the show. So I only had like a few moves to work with. So like I tried to make it as like easy as possible, but also like it gave me an experience to like call in the ring, because at that point I was like more of like a veteran at Battle Arts.
Yeah.
So it was kind of easy, but like I feel like I still need a little work in calling, but like it's getting there. Like the confidence is there where like I know what to do. I know the ring psychology of a match. Like I know how to put together a match, so it's not as hard as I thought it would be.
The one thing that I've caught in the few minutes that we've had tonight is that like you are both very comfortable with yourself, very confident in yourself, but also very humble, and that's you have to have that mix, because you have to know you're not the best one out there, but you have to be trying to be the best one out there.
Working towards it, right? Your ultimate goal is to always try to be the best at whatever you're doing, and if you're not, at least trying to attain that, your work ethic. That's a parent thing. I admire that your parents, said that they made you do it that way, because you respected 100% more. If I've learned, if you give somebody something, they're not going to respect it. So you're learning all those life lessons that are going to matter, and I guess JP, like after COVID, like post COVID, pro wrestling is going to change, and I don't foresee a lot of like on the road type stuff really happening. So the fact that you're understanding and are conceptualizing the same with the coaches, like the socials matter. The socials matter so much. Podcasts matter so much.
Yes.
Understanding psychology, or even just taking a free psychology class through Coursera or something like that, invaluable to anybody that wants to do that. So, I'm just happy that you took the chance to reach out, and that we got the chance to sit down with you, because I'm JP. Honestly,
you'll see, we're gonna like chart your whole career out with you now. Like you're stuck with us. Like we're friends for life now. Like we're gonna watch you just go up. You're gonna be like you'll be the Bitcoin of wrestling. You're just gonna skyrocket up. The Dogecoin. Sorry, that's the hip now, right?
Squad for life.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Glenn Higgins wants to know what your dream match is now, and if you had a person you would have loved to work with in the past, who would have so now and past?
Okay, so for now, like my dream match would be to train with Asuka, because like she actually trained with Toy, which was my like trainer for like a little bit. So like I only got to train with him for a month, and then he went back to Japan. But like just the same kind of style, because like we learned the same kind of thing, would be awesome. And like she's like one of my inspirations right now, like to learn, because like I love Japanese strong style. And then a person that I would love to wrestle in the past is Lita, by far.
Yes.
Because like her character and everything was like, okay, like that's amazing. And like she went from like a baby face to like,
and she doesn't get the credit she deserves for being one of the first women to come over that really wrestled and was really good at wrestling. There were other girls who learned how to wrestle, but she came into WWE knowing how to wrestle.
You guys might think I'm like weird for this, but the thing that got me interested in Lita when I was like looking back was that storyline with Snitsky when he kicked the baby.
Nope. You fit right in.
Oh, yeah, I remember that like that was yesterday. That was amazing. How did that? So that obviously imprinted, right?
I don't know. It's just, it kind of traumatized me as a kid, but then also like, it kind of like was like, oh shit, like this is kind of cool.
You're like, did he kick it? Did he kick it? No, he didn't kick a baby.
I'm like, was that a real baby or is that like?
And do you? So now I guess that's the question: is how? That's what you aspire to, right? Is you try to get that reaction for somebody like us that's been a fan forever to question: was that her, or did that really happen?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for? Do your coaches talk to you? Is that harder and harder for that to happen? I know it's young in your career, and I hate to ask these questions, but does that make sense when I say that to you?
Well, yeah, like I would like hope that whatever I'm doing like gets a reaction. Like even if like you're cheering me because I did something cool or you're booing me because you think I'm a jerk, like I would just hope that like I get some type of reaction. So like it would suck if like I do something like I jaw jack with the crowd and then no one responds. Like because that has happened with people. Like sometimes like you'd be in a match and you'd be like, "Is that okay?" Crickets. And you're like, oh shit, did I say something wrong? But like luckily that never happened to me, but like I know that it's happened to some people.
You have to know, like the word mark is mark for a reason. Like there's a mark in the crowd, it's a spot in the crowd, it's a person in the crowd that is reacting to things. And that's where that comes from. It's a county term. So you got to find your mark, and you got to find that mark quick to know where to go to for that stuff.
Well, when I first started, like, doing wrestling and, like, promo classes and everything, like, I got, like, a book, and it was, like, basically comebacks for dummies. And I read the shit out of it. So, like, I was like, okay, so if anybody makes fun of me, I can just come up with a comeback. So if I'm heel, I'm golden. If I'm a babyface, like...
You just do you feel like a baby? But if you're a babyface, I feel like you just smile and, like, hee at them, you know?
I just do that.
What's your, like, how would you, in elevator speak, so in like 1 or 2 sentences, how would you describe your persona?
So I'm basically from the streets of Malton. So Anthony basically made like a joke saying that Malton, Mississauga is like more of like the gangster ghetto type of Mississauga kind of thing. So it's kind of like, ooh, you're gangster. So like I'm basically like the type of like take no shit, but like basically I'll kick your ass if you piss me off kind of character. Which is totally different than my actual personality.
Straight out of Mississauga, huh?
Do you find that that's something that you dislike in people generally? Is that type of attitude or that type of person that you portray when you're in the ring?
Well, I mean, nobody's going to mess with somebody who's going to try and kick your butt. So, like, I feel like... Because, like, I've always been that shy, in the corner, don't kind of talk to me kind of kid. Because, like, I was always insecure. So when Anthony told me, okay, you're going to be like this gangster chick that's ghetto and ratchet, I'm like, me? You're talking about me? Like the most quietest person. Because when I started at Battle Arts, I was in the corner, not talking to nobody, trying to keep my own, like, okay, I'm just here to learn. I don't want to get into anybody's, like, thing. And then he's like, okay, so you're going to be, like, out of this world character. I'm like, okay.
But have you found that since being in wrestling that you're a little less like that now? Are you a little more outgoing?
Oh, for sure. Like, I used to be the type of kid that would be quiet and, like, be super shy. Now, when I get to know you, I won't shut up. Like, in the beginning of the podcast, I was so quiet. Now I don't shut up.
That's a good thing, though, right?
Yeah, it's funny because, like, I never wrestled. Like I said, I set up a whole bunch of rings. I did a whole bunch of security. But for me, walking into a place and being told, all right, hey, you have to go say hi to everybody. Like, that wasn't me. I wasn't the one who went up to you. I was the one who kind of stayed as low-key as a 6'8" guy can stay. But wrestling really, just being around that really brought that out of me. Really made me a little more outgoing and made this stuff possible, so.
Were you, and if you don't want to answer this question, you don't have to. What was it like growing up for you? Obviously you're probably openly a pro wrestling fan when you were a kid. Like, were you bullied as a kid? Was it, what was it like growing up for you?
So when I was a kid, I was that fat kid that loved wrestling. So it was like that, like, cause we had like a thing where, dress as your favorite celebrity. So I decided to dress up as Jeff Hardy going to school. So it's like I was basically made fun of, not because of wrestling, but because like I was like that fat little kid that like everybody was like that socially awkward fat kid. So like that was hard. But then when I went to high school, like I kind of glowed up, so I lost a lot of weight and then I gained back after. But like it's whatever. And then
that's another term, JP, glowed up. So
yeah, I know.
Better write that down.
I know. Glowed up. Listen, I'm hip. I'm with the young kids.
True story. When I was in high school, I had a geography teacher that asked me, "Hey, what do you want to do when you grow up?" I'm like, "I want to be a WWE. Like, I want to be a professional wrestler." My whole class stopped what they were doing, looked at me, and started laughing. And my teacher's like, "You're not serious, are you?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm serious." And then fast forward, I graduate, start wrestling training. I go back to my high school with my boyfriend, and the teachers are like, "Hey, Jenner, what's up? What are you doing now?" I'm like, "Professional wrestling." And they're like, "Olympics now?" I'm like, "No, WWE wrestling, and I'm the current Battle Arts Women's Champion at the time." And they're like,
and you say, "Suck it."
How does it obviously when wrestling is active and when things are open and going, how is it to keep a relationship?
Oh, for like easy. Like I've been with my boyfriend for like almost 8 years. So like since I was like 17, and like we're basically, he's like one of the most supportive people ever. And like he's like, if you have to go to Florida to go to NXT, you do it, because you're not like stopping an opportunity. Like I'm going to be there for you and everything. So it's like him being so supportive is like amazing.
Yeah, that's key. That's key.
That's huge.
Is he one of the is he like one of I'll say one of the wrestlers' wives, but is he at the shows?
Oh, he tries to, like, the thing is he tries to go to almost every single show, but like sometimes like work like interferes with stuff. But like when it's like a big event and like it's huge, like he tries to come as much as possible.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's because it's hard. I'm sure you've seen it with other people in wrestling. It can be hard, and it can definitely be trying. When you travel and you may be away every weekend, you may leave on a Friday and come home on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what you want to happen.
It takes a solid relationship and a lot of humility for the other person to just be that, like in the sidecar, like in the, just in the back. Like you have to swallow ego on a lot of stuff, especially, pro wrestling and females. Sometimes it's a creepy thing. So I admire him for doing that and saying that's a huge on your part and huge on his part.
Like he actually laughs. Like if there's some creepy guys that like say some weird stuff, he just laughs because like he's like, bro, that's funny. And then like he was the one who actually pushed me to go start training because I was like, I'm gonna start training. Training. He's like, no, you're gonna get up, you're gonna go to the school, and you're gonna try out. And I was like, okay. And then like he's just been supportive. Like ever since I started dating him, I was like, I want to be a wrestler, and he's like, okay. And he's like just been pushing me and like saying, okay, you gotta do what's best for you, kind of thing. So. I admire that from him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that takes a lot of, like, I'd say that takes a lot of confidence and trust on his end to, to really do that and trust in himself as well. So that's awesome because it doesn't always happen.
Great job, Harry.
Yes.
Harry, yeah.
So we do have to talk football a little bit tonight, Josh, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I want to make sure she gets her socials out there tonight. I want to make sure that did we miss anything? Like I can't believe the hour's gone already.
I know.
It's always fun when we get opportunities like this to sit down with a true professional that understands the business and where she's going and what she wants to do. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for reaching out and like just doing what you do because it's a symbiotic relationship. And I'm glad that we're able to set it up.
I would love to have you on again when things open back up. So maybe before your first show, and we'll hype that up for you, or after your first show, and we'll talk about what it was like being back in the ring, or both.
Okay, that's sick. I'd love it.
So you're always welcome. All you got to do is send one of us a message and be like, "Hey, I want to come on." It could be Thursday night at 7:03, and we'll pop the door open.
Amy Crimson XOXO
is everything except for my Facebook. It's just Amy Crimson.
That's last on the list. It don't matter, right? You probably check that every other day.
I was told if you have like Instagram and like stuff like that, just use the same name. So once they search you up, you just pop up everywhere.
Absolutely. Yep. Amy, thanks again for joining us. Again, everybody, Amy Crimson, Battle Arts Pro, soon to be released from Canada.
Hopefully. Pray.
Yeah.
Straight
Thanks
from
again for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Such a
cool
good kid, man.
Yeah, man. Young girl. Guys, we're going to start up XFL Extreme. We're going to talk Canadian Football League. We're going to talk XFL. I think there was a little bit of XFL news, right? Didn't the Rock want to suck it?
Are you ready to make the switch, my friend?
Yeah.
I'm so ready.